U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal, a Democrat from Connecticut, announced last Wednesday the introduction of his bill, the Women's Health Protection Act. It is being undertaken by members of both the House of Representatives and the Senate as an effort to, quote, protect a woman's right to safe and legal abortion. This is, of course, this is aimed at states like Texas and Wisconsin, which have a history of restricting a woman's right to abortion and her access to safe abortion and other reproductive rights. In the states within this country, in 2011 alone, there were 92 restrictions to women's abortion rights passed in the United States, and 100 more have been passed since then. So in the last 200. In the last 2 years, there have been 192 restrictions passed on abortion in this country and abortion requirements for women. And this is one of the things that the law, the Women's Health Protection Act, is seeking to prevent further draconian restrictions on women's reproductive health. The act is meant to prohibit, quote, laws that impose burdensome requirements on access to women's health that doctors have deemed unnecessary in their professional opinion. Primary sponsors of the bill are Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, as I've said, Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, Barbara Box of California, and those are the members in the Senate who are the primary donors, and members of the House of Representatives who are primary donors are Judy Chu of California, Marcia Fudge of Ohio, my state, and Lois Frankel of Florida, and of course, let's just say it, they're all Democrats. This bill also has 29 co-sponsors already in the Senate and 53 in the House. The sponsors do say, however, that this may not pass the House because it is currently, primarily Republican in the House of Representatives. But this will force the GOP to once again defend and debate their anti-choice stance and their anti-woman stance in the wake of the impending 2004 midterm elections. And in the words of Richard Blumenthal himself, we will win this fight. So what do you think? Does it stand a chance, and is it worth the effort?
Well, I hate to burst the bubble, but I'm not buying this for 1 second. I think this is grandstanding for the election that's coming in 2014. And here's the word I have highlighted in the quote is burdensome requirements. Burdensome is very subjective. And you mentioned in a doctor's professional opinion. I mean, you could get a doctor to come in and say both sides of that case. So for me, this smells like red meat that was thrown out to get the extremes in both parties to go to the polls in 2014. And I'm not buying that this is a legitimate push to push back against what's going on in states like Texas.
Right.
Interesting. Jeff, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's really hard to argue with that point. As far as the chances, no chance. It's DOA. It's gone. While it seems like it's a good attempt, it's also a good attempt to get, like you said, people in the polls and possibly money from women's groups into Democratic coffers. Now, I think this is really aptly timed too, because with the whole Obamacare mess going on right now, you've got that whole thing going on. So they're changing the topic because they could have done this before, but they waited until they've got the political fallout from the healthcare.gov not working, and then President Obama coming out and saying, well, you can go back to keeping your crappy plans now for the health insurance exchanges. And so the Democrats are like, well, I got to do something. I know. We'll protect abortion rights.
Yeah, and look at how much attention Wendy Davis got in Texas for standing up for what she did. It's a great issue, and I am all for protecting women's rights. I have 2 daughters. It's all women in this house except for me. So I am definitely in favor of that. I just am so cynical about politics that I don't believe for one second these people think they could change anything here. I think it's all red meat.
Yeah, with the makeup, the GOP makeup of the House, and the fact that the GOP House has been passing lots of more restrictive abortion bills, no, of course it's not going to go through. And that's really, really sad how we still have to debate this issue in 2013. I thought we were done with the birth control issue back in the 1950s. Okay, but it keeps getting brought up, and it keeps getting brought up. Why? Because it gets the people out to the polls, as you said, and it fills both sides' coffers filled with, campaign cash. I mean, at the end of the day, it always comes back to money and politics, and money in politics as well. Still, I mean, you can't help but think that, yeah, this would be a fantastic bill if it passed, if it got through. Boy, wouldn't it be great. I want to protect women's rights. I think, just the fact that women's rights have been assaulted so much, I'm pissed off about it. But right now, there's not a whole lot that can be done.
Wow, way to bring a good story down. No, I'm kidding. No, actually, it's funny that I had to smile when Aaron brought it up about the language that they use in the bill, because it's actually was one of the first things that occurred to me when I was reading it, and what I thought of was, nice try but weak sauce, because it is very subjective and can be up for interpretation. What is deemed necessary according to a doctor's professional opinion, and what can be deemed burdensome or not burdensome. And so definitely I think the language should be improved, and I think you're right. I don't think it is going to get passed, especially with the Republican-ruled House of Representatives. I think that at least some of these senators and Congress people who are pushing for this bill, I think they have some good intentions, but I think most, yeah. So I definitely think that it's not all, one agenda for them, but I definitely do think that it's fueled by a desire and a need to get Democrats elected in the next election.
And it's not like they're mutually exclusive, like you said. It could be a way to get, Democrats out to the polls, and also these women do believe in this kind of stuff. I mean, like I said, it's a dual role. Like, when you're in Congress, when you're in politics, getting reelected is always the first order of business. That's what they primarily focus on, and so everything comes second to getting reelected, getting the money,
right?
And in this case, money from pro-choice groups, because they do contribute a lot of money to the Democratic Party, So, I mean, there's that right there. So I think that's an important point.
If it were a 100% genuine desire to reform and protect women's reproductive health rights in this country, what I would like to see is if Democrats do manage to gain majority in both houses and get the executive, if they get it next election, then what I want to see is for them to sweep this one aside and improve the language of another bill and actually create and vote on a law that would protect women's right to abortion in this country, full stop. And none of this, weak little, matter of interpretation, what could be interpreted as such and so kind of language that they're using here in this bill that could be manipulated by conservative states.
Right. And here's one more kind of sad fact that's sort of related to this, and I just really wanted to throw it out here, is that is a lot of the people that are sponsoring and co-sponsoring this bill, women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, our representation of women in Congress is laughably low. We've got 19% of women. Our representative in Congress are women, but they make up more than half of the population.
Right.
And that's just a really sad fact that I wanted to throw out, because they don't have equal representation, and that's why we're seeing all these anti-choice, bills, all this anti-women legislation going around. So, I mean, it would be nice to have more equal representation in our Congress, but with the current issues that we have, don't see it happening. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please leave a comment below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and share with your friends. If you want to see more, go to our channel at youtube.com/TYTNation, and if you really want to support the show, support this channel, go to our fundraising campaign at www.patreon.com/TYTNation. The website is in the description below. Thank you guys, and keep watching.